Blessings and peace to you. This is Sbfavor Thinking Podcast, and my name is Sbfavor. How are you doing today? It is Saturday, June 25th, 2022. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. So focus on the things that give you joy and peace. Focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about, make sure you are still keeping yourself safe, wearing your mask when you need to. But just being safe, because we are still in the middle of a pandemic and people are still getting sick. So I always remind you of that because I care. We all have to do our part to stay safe. And you have to do your part to keep your family members safe. So be mindful of that. Like I said, I always remind you of that because I care. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SBFavor. Your donations and your support is greatly appreciated. Well, the topic of this episode is abortion rights, freedom of choice. This is not a political genre podcast. This is an inspirational podcast. But I decided to talk about this topic because there's a lot going on in our country. And a lot of people are upset about the Roe versus Wade overturn ruling that took place this week. And so I decided to talk about this because I would like for people to understand that despite the fact that all these changes are taking place in our country, we still can stay inspired and we still can look up to God because God has the last say in all things. And so we're going to talk about that. And also, my co-host for this episode is Jaki Draper. Jaki Draper is back, y'all. I missed her. She took a break, but she is back. And I am truly happy about that. So we're going to get into this topic. And most importantly, my prayer, listeners, I pray that you are inspired. I pray that you are lifted up. So let's get into it. How you doing, Jaki?
Hello, good. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while. You've been missed. It
has been a minute. Yes, I've missed it as well. I've had a weird few months.
It's all good though. I'm glad you are back. And so we're going to get into the current event that took place this week with the Roe versus Wade ruling that was overturned. And so what is your view on abortion? What is your view? Then I'll tell you mine. What is your view?
Well, I personally am not a fan of abortion. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe that it's my place to tell people what to do. Right.
Exactly. I feel the same way.
That's how I feel about it. And everybody has their own situation, and I'm sure I've said on this show before that I am a Republican, and one of the main reasons that I am a Republican is because the Republicans are supposed to believe in less government.
Right.
The government not telling everybody what to do, letting everyone have the freedom of choice of everything. The freedom of choice if you want to carry a gun. The freedom of choice if you want to get vaccinated. The freedom of choice if you want to have an abortion. I'm a firm believer. If you don't want to be involved in a gay marriage, then don't marry a gay person. Let them do it. Yeah. If you don't want to have an abortion, don't have one.
Yeah.
If you don't want a vaccination, don't get one.
Right. My view is the same. I think that people should have the right to choose who they want to marry. They should have the right to choose what they want to do with their bodies. People should have the right to choose to do what they want to do in their personal lives. Now, as I stated earlier, listeners, this is not a political podcast genre, but I decided to talk about this topic because A lot of people were affected by the decision this week, and there's a lot going on. I believe we should talk about, because people should still not give up on the hope that we have, because despite the negative things, there are still positive things that are going on. But like you said, Jackie, I do believe in all those things that you just mentioned, because not even God forces us to do what he wants us to do. God compels us to do what he wants us to do with love. And so that being said, the government surely does not have the right to poke their head into intimate personal affairs concerning us as individuals and our bodies. And then to top it off, Jackie, what about men? Men should get vasectomies. What do you think? After a certain amount of kids?
Well, yeah, sure. Absolutely. If that's how we're going to work this.
Yeah. Because,
yeah. Because I don't believe that it has anything to do with babies. I saw a post that said someone's trying to be sarcastic. Imagine that you're angry, being angry over saving babies' lives. And I'm like, imagine that. I commented, imagine that, being so stupid that you think that's what this is about. It's just... Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
No, it's a power move. And the reason why I say it's a power move, because anytime government takes a position to control people, it's a power move.
Yes.
People have the right to make their own choices, because freedom represents that liberty to make your own choice. And I am not an advocate of one that would have an abortion and do harm to their body repetitively. I'm not an advocate for that. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that, for a woman that's violated, or there are different personal circumstances that would make a person make that choice. And somebody might say, oh, well, Sheree, SB, you are a believer in God. How could you say that? Well, guess what? Once again, like I said, not even God forces us to make decisions. He compels us to do the right thing according to the love that he has for us. And I just don't believe that the government has the right to tell people what to do in their homes, tell people what to do with their body, tell people who to marry. I just don't believe in that. And also, Jackie, did you know that they're talking about restricting contraceptives, and they're talking about overturning the gay marriage thing? They're talking about overturning a couple of things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's about to get crazy.
Honestly, when I first heard the news, I was like, I'm always trying to think positively. And I'm like, it's probably not going to really change anything. It's just, This was just a power play. But then the more I started reading about it, and the swift action that some of the states have already made in less than 24 hours about changing laws, I thought, this is getting scary.
Yeah.
It's getting scary. It really is. And
it really is. Yeah.
4 years ago, this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened 4 years ago. Ever since the lockdown, we are seeing unprecedented controls by the government.
Right. And also,
now that they know that they can, they're doing it.
Yeah. Keep in mind that this was stirring about 5 years ago. And the reason why I say that is because there are religious groups and people that are associated with politicians. They pay them money. You know that, right? They pay them money.
Right.
And then they come up with their agenda. These folks, they come up with their own agenda, what they want to see in society. And so that is another reason why some of these politicians, they take the side of different types of agendas, because they're getting paid to do so. And so they don't want to upset, quote unquote, their constituents, right? So they come up with all these laws, or these rules, so to speak, because they don't want to upset the person that put some money in their pocket. So we got to think about that too, because Mr. T, I don't want to name no names here, but Mr. T, he Mr. T put 3 judges in position, and when those judges were put in position, they were put in position for this very reason. What is going on right now, they was put in position for that reason and that reason only, because when they were nominated, it was constantly brought up. The abortion rights issue. Would you allow women to continue to choose? That was constantly talked about a whole lot. So, so Mr. T, his agenda went along with, his constituents as well, because this, like I said, this agenda has been stirring for a while. And now what we heard this week is a full manifestation of what they've been planning. And I just think that it's just sad. So.
Well, as you said, this has been going on. And when all this was happening in 2019 is actually when the big push for multiple states, I can't say the exact number. I think it was 11 states had decided, and Alaska was one of them, which was a Republican state at the time, pushed for people being able to have full-term abortions. It was 2019. And multiple states at the same time did for full-term, and I personally was outraged. Because I was like, okay, now we're taking it too far. There's one thing that you can terminate your pregnancy when it's not a viable, it can't live outside the womb, so there's that. That's fine. I don't have not that it matters what I think morally anyway, because your own moral compass is your own moral compass.
Exactly.
However, I wasn't outraged over abortion, maybe a little judgy if somebody had multiple of them, I don't know, but necessarily, but just being a human. But when this law came into effect in 2019, that multiple states were getting behind where you could have an abortion at full term, that outraged me. And that is when shots were fired, where the extreme conservatives were like, whoa. And I can understand that, because I personally was outraged. So the extreme conservatives took that as, I'll show you. You say you can abort at full term. Well, we're going to make you not get abortions at all.
Yeah,
and so I think that's when the war started.
Yeah, that's a bit too much. Having an abortion.
So now we're going to 2 different extremes. You can either, it's just out of control.
Yeah,
out of control.
Yeah. Having an abortion at that late in your term, that is, that's just my opinion, and it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to judge anybody, but that far into one's pregnancy, that's a bit too far. And that, to me, that would bother me. That part bothers me.
If it was going to kill the mother or something was going to hurt, then... But,
I guess,
which I think is a case-by-case basis.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, if the mother's life is threatened, or if there's a serious medical issue that can't be corrected, I mean, that would make sense.
But just a whole choice just to say, oh, well, I was raped. Well, you knew 9 months ago you were raped.
Yeah, but
why did you wait this long?
I just think that overall, across the board, individually, person to person, I think case by case, there's different circumstances, right? And like you said, we can't judge. We can't, point our finger and say, oh, they're just a bad person or anything like that. We're not talking like that, listeners. We're basically just saying that there is a case by case issue when it comes to choice. And it's just my opinion. For somebody, like you said, Jackie, if somebody is just like, like waking up, they knew they was pregnant, like, oh, wake up, oh, well, I don't want the baby now. You know what I mean? Well, that's serious, because that is taking a life. I mean, the baby is much older, and your pregnancy is further along, and yes, that is literally taking a life. And I'm not saying that if the baby is younger, that's not taking a life. But what I am saying is that the whole point of this discussion is that the government doesn't have the right to tell people what to do with their bodies. If the government is going to start telling people what to do with their bodies, then they need to start with men, because there are men that have 13 children, 9 children, and they don't take care of them. Some men have children, they don't even know they exist. Some men are impregnating women constantly, and the woman is normally left with the burden, right? That's been a thing in our society for a very long time.
Since the beginning of time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but this topic here we're talking about, I decided to talk about it because we just want people to know that despite what's happening in our country, we can't give up on God. We have to keep the hope. We have to continue to be positive. We have to continue to stay inspired. We have to continue to pray. And we have to do our part. Whatever that is, whatever your part is in the fight, do your part. You know, some people, they get on the front line, Jackie. That's their thing. They protest. That's their thing. I'm not a protester, okay? I have a voice, but my voice is not in that order. So what I'm saying to you listeners is, you know, we have to unite when it comes to the causes of our humanity and our freedoms. You know, like I said, I'm not one to advocate to be an advocate for somebody to just go do harm to their body or unborn child. But at the same token, a person should have the right to do what they need to do for themselves. You know, we all have constitutional rights, and this country was established on them. And so that being said, something better has to pan out, because what's going to happen, Jackie, is because of that decision this week, the turn of this decision for abortion rights being in a position of being banned, what's going to happen is, you know, back in the day, women used to get illegal abortions and a lot of people died. Remember that?
Right. Yes.
I mean, we're not that old, but I'm saying our mothers.
Not in my lifetime, but yeah.
Yeah, my mom and my grandma.
I heard about it.
Yeah, my mom and my aunts, they would tell me about it all the time. They used to talk about how there were people in different neighborhoods that they had these little medical facilities set up where a woman could actually go get an abortion. And what did the procedure consist of? I don't know, but I remember my mom telling me that a lot of people died, and a lot of people use different methods to cause miscarriages, you know. And so sadly, if a woman is not protected by the government, see the flip side to that? If a woman is not protected, then now we're going to see people doing things that's going to be harmful to them, to their bodies, and it's going to be people out there performing illegal procedures, right? What'd you say, Jackie?
Absolutely. If the concern was the babies, we don't want people to have abortions, then the solution is education.
Yes.
Let people make an informed choice. Instead of teaching children that it is just a clump of cells, you shouldn't feel bad about this.
Right, exactly.
No, I mean, once it gets to a certain level, it is not any longer just a clump of cells. It is a baby now.
That's right.
And, you know, if you want people to change the way they think, then change the information that they have.
That's right. Yes. Education is very essential.
Yes. If you inform people of the options, one of the reasons that I am not a fan of Planned Parenthood as a company is they do not inform young people.
It's about the money.
It's about the money. They want the abortion. They literally want the fetal cells. They sell them.
Yeah.
They want you to get the abortion. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you're going through. They're just, it's a business for them. They just want you to get in there and get it out and be gone with it. Yeah. And, you know, you need to educate young people and teach them that, you know, what's happening, that there is options. You know, have people who, you know, work for agencies that put babies up for adoption.
Yeah, or
talk
educate
to them.
people.
You know, have representatives from different areas so they have a real choice.
Yeah, or educate people to practice abstinence and use contraceptives so that they will not be impregnated. And men have to be accountable. Because the burden is on the woman. Men have to be accountable. I think that on both sides of the coin, Jackie, it hurts, because for the person that had an abortion, they are, some could be remorseful and feel bad because consciously, now they are aware of what they did. They're like, oh, I shouldn't have did that because I really didn't have to. You know what I mean? And then on the other side of the coin, you have the woman that was raped, or the woman that is in a position in her life where she can't have children because of so many circumstances that's going on in her life, or she doesn't want children at that moment. And it's a one-time thing. It happens. She's a month pregnant, and she decides to make that choice. That's her choice. She has a right to make that choice. I don't have the right to tell that woman, you are a bad person because you make that choice for your life. That's between her and God. Now, for myself personally, if that was my daughter or my niece or something like that, then I can have some say-so.
That's a different conversation.
Right. Yeah. I can have some say-so. But for that woman that wants to make that decision for her life to have an abortion, I don't have the right. As an American citizen, I do not have the right to cast judgment. I do not have the right to tell her that she is wrong, that she is a bad person, that she is a murderer. I do not have that right. The only one that has that right is God himself. That is it. And on the flip side of that, the woman that has the abortion and she's remorseful and she's sad about it and she says, oh, I should have never did that. Okay, that's fine. For that person that goes through that, that's between them and God too. On both sides. It's between them, the person that makes the decision, and God. That is it. And so us on the outside, we need to pray for people. If you know somebody that's pregnant or have been in the midst of something like that where they made a decision and now they feel bad about it, guess what? You don't have to feel bad about it, because God forgives all things. God forgives abortion. Move on with it. You know what I'm saying? Don't walk around in this guilt phase. Walk around and know that you are forgiven. And so, like I said, Jackie, this topic is burning hot right now. We have to talk about it because we just want people to know that, first and foremost, like I said just a minute ago, God forgives. If you're one of those people, you had an abortion, God forgives. Pray about it. God forgives. Don't walk around condemning yourself for the rest of your life. God forgives. And for the person that's contemplating on having an abortion, look, like I said, that's your choice. I can, if I know somebody that's pregnant and they considering doing that, I would pray for them, Jackie. I wouldn't try to convince them and be like, oh, don't. I would just pray for them. Just pray that they make the right decision. That's it,
But also, it needs to be the right decision for them, because the last person who should be a parent is a person who doesn't want to be a parent.
Exactly.
It's hard. It's hard for people who want to be parents.
Yes.
To raise children.
Yes. Yes.
I can't even imagine what it would be like if I didn't want my child and I was forced into it.
Yeah, it's just a really sensitive topic, and I just think that, like you said, Jackie, it's a case-by-case situation.
And in this economy, I mean, there could be people who already have 2 children. They're very young, and they're married, and they have a low income. They cannot afford another child.
Yeah. Well, things in this country, like I said,
you can't make that choice for other people is all I think.
Yeah, things in this country have been turning a certain direction for a while, and we all have to be aware of what's happening. We cannot ignore what has already taken place. There have been a lot of things that's been happening behind the scenes, and unfortunately, this topic and what's been going on this week in this country, this has been turning for years, coming together for years to just totally be broken apart. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is something that they have planned for a long time, and the gay rights thing, that's because it's so new. They know that legally they can just snap that apart quickly. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what they want to do. I mean, they are in the process of, in my opinion, I think this country is going backwards. That's just what I think.
It is.
Civil
and it's
rights,
scary.
Yeah, civil rights And when it comes to the whole race thing and other things in this country, it's going backwards. But you know what? I just want people to remember that despite what happens, you got to remember, we have to remember that God has the last say. And I'm not saying that in a religious way. I'm saying this in a spiritual way, because this is the truth, and this is a fact. God has the last say of what will and will not happen in this country. Our position is to pray and live the best life we can live while we are here. That's what we have to do. And we can't get caught up on what these politicians are doing. We can pray for them, and we can do our part to keep our voices heard and do our part to take action. But we cannot get caught up on what these politicians are doing to the point where we are worried, or if we become becoming fearful. We can't do that. We cannot become fearful, I should say. And so we have to keep our focus on the things that help us to move forward, the things that help us to progress and not go backwards. And all those things that I just mentioned are in God, and all those things are in your confidence in God. In your prayers with God, should be in your prayers with God. So that being said, we got to do what we have to do, Jackie. We gotta pay attention. We gotta, not watch the news constantly, but we gotta pay attention to what's going on, because
absolutely,
because not paying attention sometimes is it's a bad thing, and I'm guilty of the same thing, because this week I wasn't watching the news, and then all of a sudden when I heard about this, I said, what just happened?
Yeah.
I said,
exactly.
Yeah. So, and then I saw another article. It was talking about what's his name, Clarence Thomas. He's talking about the gay rights.
Yes.
He's talking about restrictions for contraceptives. I said, whoa, what is going on? So now I said,
it's like, who do these people think they are?
Who do they think they are? Exactly. And so we just gotta we got to keep our voices heard. We got to do whatever it is we're supposed to do as individuals. We got to do it. And we have to live the best life we can. And most importantly, we have to pray. Most importantly, we have to keep our focus where it needs to be. Because I'm going to tell you something, Jackie. When you hear the news like this, it's so easy to become fearful. It's so easy to just be worried. And we can't.
Yes.
We can't be shaken by this stuff, y'all. We just can't. We can't give up the hope that we have by the one that created it all, which is God. God is the giver of life. And I have to say that because I believe that firmly. And we can't put so much confidence in man to the point we start thinking, oh, well, man has the last say. No, we got to remember, God has the last say. And because God has the last say, we got to keep looking up. We got to keep looking.
We can't be complacent and just say, "Oh, God's going to fix this."
No. We got to do our part. That's why I said we got to make our voices heard. We got to take action for those of us with different types of positions in society. We have to keep our voices heard. We have to take action, and we have to do what we have to do, whatever that is. Everybody has a different role in their part in society. Every individual. And most importantly, the root of everything that you have to do, when you wake up each day, like I always say, you got to pray. And I say pray because prayer has to be matched with action. You don't just pray and just wait. You gotta take action, pray, take action, pray again. Because when you pray and you take action, what will happen is God will lead you to the action you need to take to multiply according to the action you already have taken, and then you'll see a manifestation. That's faith. So, we have to do that. We have to do that, Jackie. And it's just crazy. I was talking to my daughter this morning. She's like, Mom, this is serious. In her lifetime, she's like, Mom, this is serious because, things happen when we were kids too, right? But
right,
not on this level.
I know. It is scary, though. It really is. Things that we took for granted.
Yeah.
That, why would we go backwards?
Why would we go backwards? We cannot go backwards, and we will not go backwards. And anything that we see or experience, I just believe that to avoid the confusion, to avoid worry, to avoid fear, pray. Pray for clarification. And when you pray, what will happen is God will show you. He'll show you what to do. He'll show you the plan for your life and what you're supposed to be doing for the change. He'll show you what you need to be doing so that your voice can be heard, because we all have a part in this matter. It's not about the black people, the white people, the Spanish people, the Chinese. No, it's about humanity. It's about humanity, because the same thing that's happening in other countries, guess what? The same thing can happen in America. The same thing can happen in America. And like you said, Jackie, we get too comfortable. That's the problem. Remember, we were so comfortable, and all of a sudden we saw what happened on 9/11. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. But all excuse me, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, that
would never happen here."
Yeah. We're all good. That can't happen in our country. Well, look what happened on 9/11. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. When you put yourself in a position daily to be focused and aligned with God, and I'm not talking about being religious and crazy. I'm talking about being spiritual and being mindful and focused on the one that gives life, God. When you live a life like that, guess what? You'll be able to stay ahead of things. And when I say stay ahead of things, meaning you won't be caught off guard, because you'll have a focus every day. Some people are so comfortable with material possessions, they're not thinking about all these things that's going on, because it's not affecting them personally. But we're going to wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to say, Jackie? You want to wrap it up?
No, just hopefully we don't end up in The Handmaid's Tale. Did you see that? Have you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
That's insane.
No,
I'm scarred for life from that show.
Oh my God, Lord Jesus.
Every time something bad happens, I go, "Oh my God, The Handmaid's Tale."
Yeah,
I gotta find me a husband to sneak me some books.
Oh my God, that is so true. That is so true.
I know, it's scary.
Yeah, it is. But we're gonna be all right. Yeah. But we gotta do our part, people. We gotta stay focused on what is going to help us to progress and not go backwards. As individuals, we got to do our part. We got to pray. We got to stay focused, and we have to remember not to give up on hope. So, Jackie, thank you so much for joining me to discuss this topic. We're going to talk again soon. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to listen to SB Favor Thinking Podcast. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Sbfavor. Also have a YouTube channel and a TikTok handle. You can find me over at TikTok at Sbfavor, and there is motivational and inspirational content there. And I want to remind you once again, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $Sbfavor, and make sure you subscribe to me wherever you listen to podcasts. When you go over to YouTube, make sure you click like, subscribe, and leave me some feedback. Thank you so much for that. And make sure, more important than anything, share the podcast with others. And thank you again for tuning in. And Jackie, thank you. And listeners,
thank you.
I will be talking to you soon. And Jackie is back, y'all. Hey. Jackie is back. All right, listeners, have a good day.